In today's lesson, we're going to look at writing one number as a percentage of another number. To do this without a calculator, there's three simple steps. Firstly, write the amount you have as a fraction. Secondly, find an equivalent fraction that's written out of 100. And then lastly, take the numerator as your answer. In our example, it starts by saying that James did a maths test and scored 18 out of 20. If I want to get this score as a percentage, I'm going to first start off by writing it as a fraction, 18 out of 20. Step number 2 says we want to get this fraction and write it out of 100. To do this, I need to times both the top and the bottom by 5, meaning 18 times 5 gives me 90 on the top. That therefore means that his percentage score was 90%. I can do the same thing in this second part. Sally took a different maths test and scored 22 out of 25. To get this as a fraction out of 100, I need to multiply the top and the bottom by 4. 22 times 4 is 88. That therefore means that Sally got 88% on her maths test. Lastly, we can conclude that James did better. That's because he scored the highest. This is backed up by the working out that we've just shown. In this next example, it tells us that a third student scored 28 out of 35. Initially, we're going to start off exactly the same as what we did in the previous two examples. So I can say their score is 28 out of 35. Trying to get our denominator, which is 35, as a fraction out of 100 is going to be quite tricky this time. Instead, we're going to try and simplify our fraction first. I can spot that the number 28 and 35 are both divisible by 7, so if I divide the top and bottom by 7, I get 4/5 as an equivalent score. I can now times the top and bottom of this fraction by 20 to get my score out of 100. 4 times by 20 gives me 80, and that therefore means the score is 80%. Just bear in mind, in some instances, it may be better to simplify your fraction first before you try and write it out of 100. So your first task for today is to complete the questions shown on the worksheet that's attached to Show My Homework. You should do this using the method shown without using a calculator. Once you've finished, you can check your answers against the solutions provided on Show My Homework. Please make sure you correct any mistakes and that you fully understand this before moving on to the next section of the video. The next thing is looking at writing one number as a percentage of another using a calculator. There's two steps for this. Simply write it as a fraction as we did before, and then use your calculator to times that by 100. This will give you your answer. So in our example, it asks us to write Samantha's score of 92 out of 108 as a percentage. We can start by writing this score as a fraction. That's 92 out of 108. The next step is to get our calculator and times this by 100. So here's our calculator. I need to press my fraction button. On the top I want 92. I can press down and put 108 on the bottom. Using the right arrow key, I leave my fraction and press times by 100. I can convert my answer to a decimal, and to one decimal place, that's 85.2%. If you're using a calculator which isn't scientific or doesn't have a fraction key on it, you can use the fact that 92 over 108 simply means 92 divided by 108 to get your answer. You would take that and then times it by 100 and you'll see that your answer is equivalent. I'll show you that now. So we do 92 divided by 108 times that by 100 and then convert to a decimal. 85.2 is our answer again. So your final task for today is to complete this maths challenge by figuring out my mystery total. You need to answer each of the 20 questions at the top, rounding your answer to 1 decimal place. Once you've done this, you need to cross your answers from the grid in the bottom left corner. You should have 5 answers that are left over. To find out my mystery total, you need to add these together. If when you round your answer you get a 0.0%, you can simply ignore the part after the decimal point. I'll do the first question to show you an example of that now. We're asked to write 90 out of 257 as a percentage. So I'm going to start off as a fraction, that's 90 out of 257. I'm going to use our calculator to times that by 100 and get it as a percentage. Remember, if you don't have a fraction button, we can simply put in 90 divided by 257 times by 100 instead. I need to get my calculator, press my fraction button. I want 90 on the top, 257 on the bottom, and then times that by 100. Converting that to a decimal gives me 35.0% to 1 decimal place. As I said previously, because we have a 0.0, we can simply write this as 35%, and therefore I can cross this answer from my grid. Remember, you should round all your answers to 1 decimal place and only ignore the decimal point if it ends in 0.0. Again, once you've done, you can check your answers against those that are posted on Show My Homework and make sure you've got the correct total at the end. Once you've finished this, please submit both pieces of work from today to Show My Homework so I can see how you've got on. If you are struggling to complete some of the work from today's lesson, then please do not hesitate to get in touch via comment on Show My Homework. I'll try to make myself as available as possible and get a reply to you as quickly as I can. If the issue requires a little bit more input from myself, I might ask to arrange a time to meet on Teams where I can give you some personalised help with that specific problem.